Wow. Thanks. All right. So let's go ahead and start looking at the 24-hour and the weekly here. This week we're going to be ending with a candle going red, right? And this is a rejection right around those previous highs on SPY. Now, whenever I see a red candle, the question is, what have we lost, right? What have we gained? There's not a lot of insight, right? As far as structure, you do have this red wick, which you're bouncing off of right now. And so one could assume that if we are underneath 595.46, that we would at least be moving into this range. Now, 24-hour time frame doesn't really look super bearish, but one thing that I'm noticing as we close after all of, and we did leave some empty space on lower time frames, right? And I'm wondering, I'm watching to see whether or not we actually make it up there.
Order filled.
Whoops. Um, and
Order filled.
oh, what the hell? Beautiful. Anyway, so you have a little bit of empty space. If we can fill this before the end of the day, if features to open up on Sunday, but what we're hanging on to right now, or what we're trying to pull ourselves back up above, which is what the I think this empty space basically represents, could change that candle and allow it to close back towards 598.63. So it's really specific. When you get to the 4-hour, you can kind of see where we're fighting, right? So it's like getting back up above that previous resistance is going to be really, really important. But otherwise, I mean, one, you know, depending on how this closes, one can definitely look at the market as a potential gap fill down to 593.37, and even a drop down to 591, which could be that overnight or over the weekend. And again, we don't know. I don't know. You don't know what's going to happen as far as the war, you know, missiles and shit like that. This could end tomorrow or continue till next year. Or shit, they're drafting us and we're going. But you I mean, looking at the chart right now, I'd like to see how we close. Everything that we should have reclaimed, we've lost, and everything that we did reclaim, we've also lost. So the closer we close down, and the more that we struggle to even get, here, which is what we're watching right now, um, on everything. You can see it even on the lower time frame. It's hard to catch a break here, even into that little pocket of empty space. So just something to think about. But again, this is the first. Well, let me say this. This candle, just like this one. The point being, and this is why I say it matters what you've lost. Look at that big dump. So again, if you're swinging because you're just fearful because you don't want to miss out, that's one thing, right? If you're taking something because that's triggering your speculative level or triggering something for you, again, I really want to see by the end of the day where we close as far as options are concerned, but man, if that's not kind of staying a little bit of bearishness, for sure. And even this, let's just do this 1, 2, 3, 4 days, right? And if we observe the last time this happened, right, it was the same thing. He broke above highs, 1, 2, 3, and then that candle, right, dips down. You see that down day, but it pulls itself back up. And so while this candle is still closing green, right, pretty much on every other time frame, it's not. Now this one did gap fill, which kind of pulls that volume out. And for me, on the 4-hour over the weekend, it's this right there. So you have to determine whether or not that's right for you. This is definitely something that they could whip up, right? I mean, again, with news over the weekend, this is not something that I would go into naked, one-sided, especially if you're playing speculative. But like I said, we went up. What did we fail to reclaim? The same resistances stepped up. 531. You couldn't even really get up to 532, and as of right now, you're sitting closer to that floor. after, again, rebounding and moving all the way back up into that 531. So, again, over the weekend, this one has basically 523 as a trigger. And at that point, guys, if I'm being 100% real with you, this is where I'm playing. That's what I would be anticipating if we saw a decline underneath. And that target would be right around 508 or 509 at the lows, 512 at the cost basis, and 515 at the top. Will you please get out of the dishwasher, Manny?
Yo, how do you know I'm here, bro?
Because I can hear everything. We're on TikTok right now.
Everything.
All of it. There we go. Man, yeah, I'm watching the NQ right now, and it's really having a tough time. It's bouncing where it needs to bounce, but it's a grind. So if we rip it really quickly up to fill that space and leave one naked big green candle there, that's where I would be thinking where that could end up being a rejection. Oh my God, get out of here, Manny. All right. So last one. A lot of naked space. All right. All right. Now, you guys remember what I said this morning about IWM? This was perfect. This is a whole lot easier for me to speculate on because today's low hit our. So this is obviously, you can tell by my fucking tone probably that, and this one's probably far more intriguing, right? And you can see why. One of my main requirements now, we're dropping back into what I would say is a whole box, right? So the target, 206.50, how does that correlate? Empty space ends there. So, and you could probably be more around 206.25, but you fucked up. Now, again, one thing that I like to emphasize is that this is the start, right? This is 100% where you start that breakdown. And empty spaces like this underneath are areas where price can move rapidly. And then we have a lot of structure underneath us. So that would be step one. If we were to gap down underneath it, that would be a gift because then we could just flush down into the 202s. But for a definitive candle close under, right? And if we translate this across to a previous sell level, you could say you're sitting on it, but other than that, we would have to basically gap out of 210 or gap up above 210. And at that point, you would be looking at what's already been retested, which is around 212. So, and Q. Wait, never mind. $206. So you really couldn't go much farther than 204. Wow. Still not below the floor. Yeah, 208.26, man. I mean, I feel like that's super. Maybe you'll have a bounce around 207, but with what we got going on over the weekend, it could fuel the fire down, and this could be our sign, the setup before the news, which I'm inclined to believe, but um, there's still one thing left. I'm just carrying a passionate guy. It's beautiful. All right, so that one a little bit more definitive. If you are looking at hedges, again, this is a lower time frame setup. You have to identify, and you're aiming for what is the worst case scenario. And in that case, I think that would be right here at 12.12. And those are 26 cents. So you could go for 12 or 213, maybe 214. Maybe wait till there's a fucking bounce or the end of the day, because we are currently moving down. This is going to be one of those things I try to take as a swing and then all of a sudden it happens. That'd be sick. All right. U.S. forces are preparing in defending the Iranian attack on Israel, Israeli officials say. Of course we are. Of course we are. Of course. Then you put the U.S. economy and nation on the grill. Thank you. Let's see here. Well, Hughes haven't quite done it, but man, if fucking IWM isn't about to goon into space, man, what's up? 207 down. We'll see. So much empty space above us that you got to keep your foot on the gas pedal, and that's what it looks like. But you got one more to go.
Potter Spy has that little gap too on the 15-minute down to 593. If it breaks where it's at right now.
Damn. Damn. I love how Israel's acting like hitting their civilians is a vile human act, but bombing schools, hospitals, mosques, even Iran citizens' apartments. Yeah. I mean, if I was Iran, I'd be striking military targets. But I'm not at war with Israel. Well, I mean, I don't have it. Yeah. State of emergency. Yeah. Well, we just got involved. So. All right, Panda. I don't like that. I can't make more money, dude. Yeah, I saw that. Yeah, the US is going to fucking fight this war. Of course. And they're going to get the cheerful response or cheerful fucking endorsement from our Congress and representatives and lawmakers for the most part.
They can test out those Tesla killer robots now.
Yeah, there you go. Send those in there. Give me the VR headset. I'm not sure, man. Don't get emotional over that IWM candle right there. I'm not. Well, I mean, as far as a candle close, I mean, 24-hour. It doesn't gets real. That's fire. Nice bounce on NQ. Let's see here. Make Diddler great again. Oh, well, remember, U.S. War profiteers are the U.S. economy. It's very important that they make profits. Going to war with Iran before GTA 6 is crazy. Damn right. All right, so that's our ETFs, guys. Sorry, I'm staring right now at this shit. I want to see what happens, just like everybody else right now. See if the
Wait,
news.
what was your floor for Qs? You said
The
526 something. I didn't hear what it was.
On the 24-hour, where's the floor? Like underneath us, like where we go, like target underneath us. Right now, that's
Yes.
okay. Yeah, that's basically the closing candle, right? That 523.45, and then in that range, give or take 523. That's also the top of this structure there. So you could almost like give it like this baby range. You could expect price to move in that range right there. So I would suspect that would be highlighted somewhere on the lower time frame. Yeah, that's my target down.
All right, cool. Thanks, man.
Yeah. So on this floor, if you guys are swinging and you're looking at hedges, remember who you are. I bounced on the floor. Yep. Not a very salty bounce though. Wait, what? What are we talking about? Yeah, the chat bubble. All right, let's take a look at it. Coin to the downside. Wow, why is that closing like that? That's spooky, bro. It's weird because yes, if you lose your floor, if we gap down below that, no problem. You could see a straightforward 227. Um, but the channel also looks just as good. You are trying to grab that floor. I don't know how crypto could benefit or fall from, maybe people use it as a safe haven, but yeah, that is trying to go and reclaim that floor. Let's see how that looks on the 30. And they're not doing it. The lower time frame definitely isn't like showing extreme strength. So I think back down below 240 is 240, and then these candle closes here on the 5 at 238.50. That's where it just breaks down. But I'm curious. Yeah, I'm not a crypto guy, so you guys might have better insight on that as well. Frog. Chad ADT said he wanted to do a trading competition with you. Do you have any comments? Fucking bring it on, fat dork. Sorry. Tell him I said it. Dude must be feeling good since using the boxes. Wow, that's actually, I mean, that is an intriguing setup. You are closing right up against the floor. You have a target of 39.50 and 38.33. And if we're looking at a market, pullback, which, the way that this is set up is you have consolidation above. I think if you're going to take a shot on it, this isn't a bad place to start that. You have filled up the empty space above you. So that could be a decent shot. 39.18 as well. He said you were just a scalper. That's weird. That's how you know. Right there, Tesla. So how'd you fall today? Fast? Okay, so you did leave him. No, you filled it up. Definitely below. Yeah, I see definitely a pullback here to 320, 321.50, which is down here. I mean, so let's come to a conclusion here. This is where the sellers live, and you're closing in their house, and you got pretty much nothing but empty space. So, I mean, if you're looking down on this one, the only thing, and this is something where you could like go really far, 340, 350. If by some chance you, because you know it is your third rejection at the top, you have a decent amount of empty space up there. So, you know, whether or not it continues moving down, you could wick and then engulf, you know, something of that nature. But the floor, or where, I mean, you technically your floor is way the fuck down here, but I think the floor is right around that 319 target. Yeah, 319.25, that old floor. And that's where you'd see the 310 target. So, yeah, I mean, it's hard not to have a bias right now, right? The market's moving down. We're closing underneath certain levels. I mean, that's clear, right? And so I'm big on focusing on the chart, and even at this moment, especially after a day of fucking futures, you know, I'm looking at the news that is coming out, but I also know how fast sometimes this news goes away, and then how they'll use that news to basically just create these wide ranges during intraday, and then, you know, over the overnight, you know, that's when we'll see those bigger moves. But yeah, I mean, with Tesla, that's one of those things where it's like when I have empty space up above me, it makes me a little nervous, especially if I haven't lost enough to know that we're going to keep moving down. So like if you're looking at a shorter term play, 320, yeah, 319, I get it. So LZ, lots of downside space. Looks like it's already started to move though. You are correct. And, you know, starting a position here as you're approaching, it looks like almost where you're at now. Maybe even just a little bit further. Yeah, so 870. I'd be really curious to see how that price responds first. Let's see. Yeah, I mean, that's all I see. 850s there, but that's it. So I could definitely see a trip down to $8. Is there a channel on that? There is a channel on that. Yeah, so this is like kind of an area where it could bounce. It's like the last one, but if you gap down below that and you've lost that floor, it's done. All right, let's see. Potential punch up. Okay, so I can make this one clear. I didn't even see the 24-hour, but that is as clear as day. You are looking at a 76.42 upside. I would even actually kind of raise that up a little bit. Yeah, 76.36. And then you have a great opportunity. But as of right now, you tried and you failed. And right now you're closing at the floor, so you might need to go find buyers. And that could be 71.50. It feels like there could be a big move over the weekend, or a move over the weekend down for sure. You know, looking at the closes now as I'm moving through different stocks, it's like everything is Meta has not. Meta is sitting still on top of this red candle close. Has been avoiding. If it loses that, you're going to go hit that box right here, and that wick. So I could see 682.15 on Meta. And that's down. If we gap up, you have a clear box to the upside floor right there, and today's high is literally where you would take that long up to 699.21 for a potential punchback. WFC. Jay, what are you talking about? Bitcoin has been leading the market. Fuck. Yo. All right. So now I'm starting to look at these IWM 205 puts a little differently. Might have to risk it for a biscuit. Fuck, dude. The banks look fucked right now. I mean, again, what do we always talk about? Telling the story. The story says, I'll take you on a journey with me, right? You went up, you punched through a box right here. You reached highs, and then you lost the top of that box, and you lost the bottom of that floor, and you fell back into the box that you had broken out originally and rejected the top after bouncing on cost basis, and now you are on the floor. Now, WFC, Wells Fargo, doesn't really hold pretty empty space because as soon as you go to the 4 hour, you're met with structure. But I don't think that necessarily stops this setup from potentially going down to reach 13 and 70 flat at minimum. But I mean, if we're looking at this like a punch down, you know, I could see a return back to 65, 62 if the market turns over, and we have to, like, you know, again, gauge that off of what we're seeing via price. And I mean, if you're going to take it, if that's what you're aiming for, you only really have the structure that you're near to set a stop loss on. So that way, if it comes back up and it reclaims that floor that you're shorting off of, that's where you get out. And if you have a good expiration, you'll be just fine. AAP. Okay, so that one's. I'm going to use those hedges on an IWM and holy fuck. So you used your previous highs as the median. So all I can't say when you're in a range, and this is, so like real quick lesson, this is the difference between a range, which oftentimes can lead to a box, which is also important to establish what you would have to lose, which is typically to your left, in order to actually fall, right? So this is creating your box. 1, 2, 3, you're heading down to the floor, 47.11. So if you're aiming for a break of said floor, where is the bottom on that, right? And so I would measure my old cost basis at 44.50 and the floor. The floor of that box should be your imbalance, yes, 42.85. So those are your targets. I don't like I don't hate the idea of it. If the market does not turn over, however, right, which you're asking for a large leg down, then 47 could be lost, but that area at 44.60 could bounce, and you could find that empty space you're creating now as a vulnerable weak spot. Would I also hold longs into the weekend? The market is not telling me to go long, and if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But the only thing that makes me feel weird is that we didn't actually gap fill today, right? So Monday could open up and we just don't have that that we need, or we've already gapped down. And this, I mean, guys, just because we haven't filled empty space, the fact that we didn't, right, is also, or filled our gap is also something that's important to me, you know, as far as price is concerned. Because these are things that even with slow or bad volume, you typically are still able to go and do. But they failed. And even as we get towards the end of the day, it doesn't really seem like anybody's really hopping up to buy. It seems like most people, and you've got vulnerable down spots, so where we gap down is ultimately going to dictate, where we go from here. But, I'll be honest with you, I can be wrong. I'm okay with that, especially if I'm using good risk. But I see down right now. That is what I see when I look at the market. I wouldn't say for absolute certain. Now that I'm looking at a list of stocks, it's starting to become more like, okay, I don't really know how they're gonna fucking be able to recover from this without going and finding some buyers. So, speaking of being able to recover, you hit the lows today on BA and then bounced back up. Now, my question is again, and as always, is what have you recovered? Not much, if at all. Yeah, nothing really. But you also haven't lost enough, right? You lost that low, bounced off the wick, and this is exactly what I mean by when something establishes a range with no structure and you gap inside of it, prepare, right? Example, UNH. Large range, torture, right? You got a little reprieve today, but full port QQQ puts, JK, or am I? Oh, God. Lightning in your area. There's lightning in my area. Sorry, guys. Just want to. Oh, shit. Is that coming to us? Oh, that's coming straight up to us. Hell yeah. Oh, we're cooked, guys. Cooked. All right, cool. Little weather surprise lift. It's closing red. I kind of see a gap down on that sucker. 24-hour time frame. Fuck. Weekly time frame. Shit. Here's what I would do. 1378. You're not really left with a bunch. You could quarterly that like 1425 would be a mid, but I see that 1381 and then yeah, 1280 1260 could be a target too. No class today? Oh no. We're having class. The only thing that stopped me is power outage, but no, we're having class. I'm about to make some coffee here in a second. Started to become one of those people who can drink coffee at fucking 6 in the afternoon and nothing happens.
Go to sleep after.
Yeah, right? Like, damn, that was a good cup of coffee. Time to go to bed.
My boy will crack a DC open at 1 in the morning.
You did what?
My friend will crack a Diet Coke open at 1 in the morning.
Oh my god.
Then he'll go to sleep like an hour later.
That's diabolical. All right. OKTA. Fuck. Part of it. Are you how long have you been in this? Is this a new thing?
No, I'm sitting on some equity that I'm waiting for it to come back, but now I'm just sick of watching that go down. So I thought I'd play a little clip, play down for a couple weeks.
Yeah, I definitely see it. So there's actually, when you move to the lower time frame, it becomes kind of clear. So yeah, I see a target down there at 92 for sure.
Okay.
Yeah. You protect yourself with the boxes above. Your high of day today is your no square.
Yeah, I got the 95s for 2 weeks out.
Hell yeah, Chadwick. Is that your name, Chadwick?
No, but you can call me that. It's cool.
Yeah, it is cool. Chadwick the Shorter.
Much rather that than ADT Chad.
Oh yeah, 100%. That guy's tarnished. You personally have to defeat him in a duel.
As long as it's physical.
Yeah. Got to be specific when you say that, though.
Fighting.
Hmm. Well, I mean, the third rejection today, it seems like at minimum, yeah, you're going to see 440, 445, 447. And there is a play down below $4 for a retest down to 375 and 350. You gonna short our net worth, brother? That's okay. So today was another rejection, right? And this kind of has tipped me off to a potential move down to 128. You can hedge for that, or you can get out. I probably just gonna grab some light puts or some shit. I didn't grab a huge position as I discussed. I was wanting to see a breakout over the 132.82s, but today was a perfect example of, again, watching to see how that reacts. He did not react well. So, hold on. Yeah, candle on the fucking Qs. Hedge with 340s. Fuck it. But yeah, I mean, if you're taking it down, I mean, that's off of the rejection there. So you're looking, it's in a box, which is always, a little funky. Price action is going to get a little weird. I wouldn't be surprised if you retest 131.48, but ultimately it's a break below 129.45 that'll get you to the 128 floor. And then if you can break that, then maybe even lower. But it's hard not to imagine that we're going to go hit 193. A big ass candle right there. Yeah, so I mean, if you're aiming down, you lost the floor on the lower time frame. I get it. So yeah, I would look for that 193. 193. It sucks because Apple just really doesn't like until you go down into the lower time frame. That's where you got a good target of 190 flat, and then if that breaks, then you could see a 176.55. So it's like a decent little trigger, right? Honest, yeah, decent little trigger right there for a move down into here. So, gold,
Are you charting gold?
GLD. It's up at the highs for the third time. Stop it, Pearl. All-time highs aren't my thing, so candle close up against the wall. You're holding. It's just it's easy to see this thing even open up above 318, especially if we see, over the weekend shit happen. So, which seems like we're likely going to see that. I wouldn't be surprised if I'm getting picked up in a white van by Sunday.
Thank you, King.
There you got it. Appreciate that. Bro, stop trying to break out of my office. You're stuck here. Just wait a minute. I'll let you out. that a waterfall right now?
Order filled.
What was that? That's the soundboard, isn't it? It's weird. Manny, how many? You drank 4 Yanglings? Wild. $3.55. What are you doing? I have a white van. I don't want to go in your white van. Nike. That looks like it could definitely go back down for a touch of 59.40. All right, hold on one second. Dude, my cat's just fucking trying to rip my door open. Fucking annoying. Uh, guys, I have downside positions. Yes, on the fucking on the Qs. Or excuse me, on IWM.
Potter, do you think 200 is kind of just too far for IWM?
It's a little far. But I mean, not totally unrealistic if this is anything like the last times, right?
Yeah, I was just thinking about that's
Yeah. I mean, if this is any, the worst case scenario is we build a box in here, right? Because we bounce back out and build a box like we did over here before we broke down. But as far as targets are concerned, I see 202. It's not like you wouldn't see anything, but the IV on that would dry up super fast. And so would the volume.
yeah. All right, I think I'm gonna just sit on my hands even if I've missed a big move.
I mean, if it's grab a, it's if it's how much are them? How much are they? When
They're
does the
16 cents, so they're not bad. They're only 16 cents.
when does the futures market close?
It closes at 5 p.m. Eastern time, 4 p.m. Central time.
Oh, okay.
But on Top Step, it closes at 4:15.
Stupid. Yeah, I think all of America can claim bone spurs. I got a real like a real life raggedy ass hip, so
Father, do you think that MU is nice to short? I just checked all the earnings. It just fell so hard. And I mean, there is a war, and I don't know if it affects this, but I feel like it's gonna drop.
earnings are next week. If the climate can change, I mean, MU is trying to hold up, so like I see where you're saying, they've had some shitty downside earnings, but that has only provided buying opportunities. Like every single one of them. Nothing ever broke that range until you had that one breakdown on this earnings, which led to the break, but then ultimately that was pretty
Yeah,
quickly recovered. So I mean, it's hard to look down. I'm not taking that away. I never go into earnings without a hedge. And if I'm looking at this one correctly, the hedges should be around the 104s, worst case scenario 100s. So
yeah, I was targeting that box right below. Maybe it will fall over there and bounce and go up again later on. So I was just thinking about it.
Yeah, I mean
It's hard to tell. It's just speculation, but I don't think this war will be over in 2 days. So
well, remember, if you go back and look historically, the U.S. stock market, even in the Vietnam War, doesn't necessarily respond the way that you think it would, because Ukraine and Russia happened, and us sending weapons happened, um, and that was a downside move, and then it was quickly recovered. So like I think right now we're at the first start of like what could be a building conflict. If it gets any worse over the weekend, we're going to gap down, right? But if it's just becomes a war, right, where Israel, and they're not going to fight by themselves, but if they're fighting Iran, not even just via missiles, but on the ground or tanks or helicopters or jets or whatever, if we escalate, that's inevitable. But eventually, when things like the war in Ukraine, like at first it was like town by town, everybody was watching everything, and that was like the first couple of months. But the market really just, I think the market realizes at some point that's not our war. Not to mention, stock market actually has a lot of individuals within it that make money if war is happening. So
yeah, I mean, it looks juicy both sides. So I just wanted to take a shot.
yeah, I mean, again, we have not on any of the ETFs. So this is something I'm being specific about. On any of the ETFs, we have started the first candle closure underneath areas where sellers control the price, but we have not triggered a official breakdown. But usually these type of events. So let me show you an example. Right, IWM, when it crashed out of that box and filled its gap and ripped all the way down to that floor, when we were going to go back up, you knew it, because it pulled. You don't fucking typically ever keep dumping unless there's some tragic fucking news. And that's something we have to remember, because some people have this like bear bug in their mind where it's like all the time they're trying to like, take something short. And so that's something that depending on like, where price settles, that's got to be, what determines or where the chart triggers that move to the downside. But yeah, I mean, it's we're close. We're really close. And this is, last time I was kind of kicking myself in the foot on the cues, because I just didn't, I told myself I would, and then again, when we dropped back underneath, even when we dropped underneath this, I told myself, yeah, and I got pieces of this for sure, but that whole move, right, was like this is the sign, right? When you lose important price, right, you keep falling. When you fall back underneath, you can, and that's what we're dealing with right now, right? We're falling back underneath, but you get a couple of days sideways action and you're right back to it. So for me, I need to see, in order to keep going down, I need to see the definitive, right? I need to see price closing under something that it's meant to hold.
Hey Potter, would you do 510? Is 510s for Monday too far out?
For
Can you
what?
decide between that and 515s for the Qs
Me too.
as a hedge down? I mean, I see 520 pretty easily hit if it dumps, but I just don't want to go too far out. But I
You
also
said
don't want to lose a thousand trying to get in the money.
I see 522 as like a heavy trim spot, and then for sure 521 on the hourly being, kind of hyper, yeah, right there on that candle there. So 520 would be, yeah, a contract that would receive value.
But those are currently $1.03. So
Yeah.
I don't know if I want to spend that much on a hedge unless we're playing this more like a play instead of a hedge.
Yeah, I mean, if you're hedging for the downside, I would say, I know this sounds crazy, but I would say 540 or somewhere in that range, way farther out than that.
You mean 510? Those are 20 cents.
I was talking about if you're hedging, I was talking about hedging.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, go to the high side. I see what you're saying. In case
Yeah.
it dips.
Yeah.
Well, I'm sorry. I guess I still feel like we were in a bullish market, so I feel like the downside is a hedge.
Right. Oh, I got you. I got you. That makes sense. So, really quickly, if you're taking a downside position, we all know why, right? We're closing underneath what we're supposed to break above. But because cost basis is underneath us, and this is for everybody, because it's underneath us, if we, hopefully everybody is using good risk, because if something does the opposite, this we can't cry about this type of shit. If we take things that don't have for sure triggers, especially on 24-hour time frames, which takes a minute sometimes, but yeah, I mean, right now with the way that things are going, where we closed underneath, at least on the 24-hour, at minimum, I could see some of these sell levels or walls, especially on the Qs at that 522 area, like those for sure look like they're going to get hit. And with today's rejection of that top, yeah, I think overnight price action, or as long as we open underneath 525.50, we're in there. So
Okay, and I have some upside positions that are 35 days out, so that's kind of my automatic hedge to the upside.
got
know.
you.
So I'm just protecting those with something on the downside. So I didn't know. I didn't want to go too far out, but I also don't want to go too close either. So, but you think 520 is a decent? If I want to risk that.
Yeah.
Okay, I agree. Okay, thanks.
You're welcome, man.
Order filled.
What was that?
Butter, so you're having class tonight, tomorrow, and Sunday, or is Sunday just charting?
I think Sunday we got to do prep, so we'll see. I'm probably gonna. I think with the week ahead of us, this probably might be a good idea to do
Father's
some
Day
prep.
Sunday, bro.
Yeah, and it's Father's Day too for you.
It's Father's Day Sunday, bro.
That's it is what it is.
Order filled.
Don't worry about me, guys.
Oh, you're Father of the Year, so you don't need to celebrate Father's Day.
Order filled.
You are a good dad, though, low key.
I appreciate that, guys.
My boy celebrates it every day.
I always. I mean, I can always do better. I feel like having that attitude helps. That was a pretty fucking hilarious soundboard clip right there, bud. God, that was an easy short. Watch this. Do it. This is literally like a video game. Like the fucking scalping shit. It's just not real. I think if we gap in range, then we're gonna go hit fill that empty space up from before, and then we'll use what we built here at the end of the day to take it short. I'm shorting the NQ down to through that 1 minute empty space. Down to what? 216.35. Whoa. Hypersonic missile. Is this live? Damn. Holy fuck, bro. I don't care who you are, that's fucking... Hypersonic missiles are fucking terrifying, dude. It's all because a bunch of old men just want to fucking fight. Fucking... Shit drives me nuts, dude.
The market
All
is
right.
closed.
Who you got, Iran or Israel? Oh my god. Get out of here.
Pretty pissed for supporting Israel right now. It's just fucked up.
Yeah. Yeah.
Order rejected.
Hey. Hey. Hey.
Order rejected. Order filled.
Thank you. It's wild.
Wait till Russia joins the party this weekend.
Let's see. Italian Prime Minister rejects offer from France and UK to send troops to UK. You cannot. You can go, not with my soldiers. Fuck yeah. That's old news. Where's like a live feed?
TikTok had a couple of them earlier. I don't know if they're still up.
Skyline webcams. Damn, the Tel Aviv live Israel cam is offline.
With Gemini and Google Docs, you can get help brainstorming visual inspiration for your brand. From just one prompt, AI can create custom images that bring your vision to life with ease.
Are we all about to use the PBS strat in the trench during World War III? Fucking A, man. I don't know. It's crazy how they make you, you know, see everybody fucking mistrust their neighbor and all that shit. There's not a lot of togetherness right now. It's just wild to me. Because it just can creates the conditions where people just think that the
Order rejected.
Yeah, can't do that. The best thing to do is fucking argue with each other. ICT traders to be on the front line. Yeah, Stellar. People start those type of rumors though, and like I don't even try and pass those, dude. Like, because honestly, that's how they get traction. All right, I'm out, YouTube.